This week for my History of Sports Media class, we were asked to watch a sports broadcast and give our analysis in it. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The event I chose, obviously, was my Chicago Bears versus the San Francisco 49ers. Big Sunday night football game. Some of the storylines going into this game, we knew Matt Slauson and Roberto Garza were ruled out for the Chicago Bears, two big holes in the offensive line. But the bigger story was Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey being questionable up until 1 hour before game time. That was pretty scary as a Bears fan, and it was a huge storyline going into this one. Another big thing was the new Levi Stadium was to debut on Sunday Night Football. And what better way to christen it with a big game on Sunday night? So we're going to talk a little bit about how the announcers connected with the audience, especially in this game. Obviously, a lot of news has been chiming through the NFL about domestic violence and whatnot. So a lot of storylines were the same from these announcers as they were from fans. So if anything, that made the announcers relatable and lets the public know that these guys know what's going on just as much as I do. But the big thing for how the announcers in this game connected was just the big plays. Seeing Brandon Marshall make that one-handed grab and hearing Chris Collinsworth get pumped up about it, it just made me more pumped up. And really, it's a two-way relationship we have as sports fans with these guys. And when they're excited, we get excited, and when we get excited, they get excited. It's one hand washes the other. So let's talk a little bit about storylines that developed during the game. The big question mark going into this one, especially as we've seen in the first half, was the Bears' defense. And I'm not going to lie, it looked really bad. Fortunately, they came back in the second half, turned it around. Two big interceptions by Kyle Fuller brought back this Bears team and put us in a position to win, which we did. Big comeback game. Another question mark and storyline that developed was, how does a 75% Brandon Marshall match up to this 49ers defense? And at first it looked rocky. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty skeptical about these guys being able to perform. But Brandon Marshall put those questions to rest. 3 big touchdown grabs. And at 75% tore apart that San Francisco 49ers secondary. The injury bug continued to hit the Bears. We had 5 big injuries in this game, but the one that hurt me the most was Charles Tillman. Re-injured the tricep that put him on the shelf last season, and this just shows how emotional the game of football is to me. They panned over to see Charles Tillman's face on the sideline, and his face was soaked with tears, and it just really gives a sense of the emotional connection they have as players and we have to each of them as fans. So what was some of the real-time commentary done in social media? Everybody has an opinion, and we could see this in social media. Obviously, it's a Bears football game, so it wouldn't be a Bears football game if everyone wasn't talking and bashing Jay Cutler. This was the case yesterday on Twitter. A lot of people were questioning his past decisions, saying he's the same old Jay Cutler, and luckily he came back in the second half and proved them wrong. Another thing that started trending in social media was the atmosphere in the new stadium. Everyone that was there tended to love it. They said they really enjoy seeing a game at New Levi Stadium, and that was definitely a trending topic. And it wouldn't be a week in the NFL if we weren't questioning the problems with officiating. This game, this buzz caught like a wildfire on social media. 16 penalties for 118 yards against the 49ers in this game. So obviously we had some people for and against these calls, and it was apparent and vocal on social media. So what are some of my general observations of this event and how it relates to what we learned in class? Quick points I'm going to make here. One being how fast social media reacts to what's going on. I had my Twitter account in one hand and watching the game in my other, and viewing the game and looking at my social media, and both these stats were coming instantaneously, and Twitter, I think, tended to be a little faster. Another thing that I saw that we talked about in class is how us as fans will walk away from the commercial if you don't air it on the broadcast. the NBC and NFL do a real good job of hyping up, next week's games and the post game and halftime shows, and they do it live during the broadcast. So I saw that, and we did talk about that in class too. And the last point I want to make is these guys, the announce team. These guys are fans first and foremost. You could tell the love of the game they have, and that's kind of just what I want to mimic going into the sports business world, is never losing that passion for sports. I love it and I can't get enough of it, and neither could these guys, and I'm sure they love what they do. So that does it for us here. I want to thank you for all listening in, and look forward to more videos in the future. Have a good one.